Today, we are going to be talking about nested playlists. A nested playlist essentially allows you to embed a playlist in Signagelive within another playlist. So let's say you were to have an entire playlist of assets, and usually you would have your images and your videos amongst that playlist. And what the nested playlist will allow you to do, say you wanted to have an entire playlist play in a particular slot within your playlist, you could put a playlist from Signagelive into that playlist, and then you could have asset, and then your playlist would play, and then you would have more assets. So what we're going to do is go over to Content, Playlists, Create and Edit. We want to create a nested playlist today. To start, we're going to go over to Control Assets over here. Now, the nested playlist functionality is a control asset. So you'll see that it's here down the bottom. And what we want to do is drag and drop that over into our playlist. I drag it to the right and immediately it looks like an asset. If I double click on this asset, you can see that it's already got a name, and this name is just a default name that is given. Double click on this, and we're going to go onto the nested playlist tab. You'll see we've got that name there, and we can rename that, and we will rename that. So let's call that Nested Playlist Joe Test 1. So that's our first nested playlist. And now we get the option to either pick a new playlist or an existing playlist. And if I do new playlist, this will allow me to just build out a new playlist from the get-go. I can immediately build this playlist. I can then go in and edit the properties for that playlist and add my assets to it. But because we've already created a playlist, what we're going to do is select an existing playlist. And you'll see we immediately get the option to select what playlist we want to link to this. In our case, we're going to hit select. We're going to go to recently added, and we're going to grab Joe Nested Playlist 1. Going down to play mode here, you have two different options. You have play all assets in the nested playlist before moving to the next asset in the master playlist. So that will mean that if we put this playlist amongst other content, so let's say we had an image, then we had our nested playlist, which contains our two assets at the moment, and then we had another 3 assets, that would be the play order. So it would essentially go asset 1, assets 2 and 3, which are in that nested playlist there, and then it would play the rest of the assets that we have in the master playlist. And to confirm, a master playlist essentially just means a playlist that houses a bunch of other playlists. The second play mode that we have is play the next asset in the nested playlist before moving to the next asset in the master playlist. Let's go back to our original example. So we've got our master playlist, we've got an asset, then we've got our nested playlist that has the 2 assets, then we had the 3 assets at the end. So if you pick this option, it would play asset 1, it would then play asset 1 of the nested playlist, it would then go to the next asset in the playlist, and then it would play the rest of the playlist, and then it would loop back round, and when it gets to the nested playlist once again, it would then play asset 2, and then it would play the rest of the playlist. The play order of the nested playlist, that is what order the assets will play. Play order normal, that would mean we get asset 1, then asset 2. Random, of course, would randomize the order, and reverse would reverse the order. As well as all of this, you also get the option to select a particular amount of assets from your main playlist. Say I had 5 assets in my nested playlist, but I only wanted 2 of them, I could pick to only take 2 of those assets. In our case, we have 2 assets and I want to use all of those. So I'm just going to leave this as it is for now. But if you had a certain amount and you wanted to use less, then you get the option to refine that selection. So we're done here. We've linked this to our playlist. We've got the nested playlist control asset here. And now we're going to hit OK. And you'll see that that's renamed the asset for us. And you can see that it's called Nested Playlist Joe Test 1. And now what I'm going to do is hit Save Playlist, and I'm going to call this Joe Master Nested Demo, if I can spell nested. There we go. So I'm going to hit Save, and then as you'll see, a little plus appears on the right. If I click that plus, it will allow me to get a preview of all of the assets within that playlist. And you can start to see how powerful this will be, because what you can essentially do is just build out a playlist that is comprised of loads of nested playlists. You can go ahead and select whatever playlists you want to bring into the equation. Let's pretend that I want to make a brand new one now. So we've got our master playlist now. we've got our nested playlist here, but I want to add a second nested playlist. And bear in mind, we haven't built another nested playlist yet. So what we'll do is we'll go through the other option now, and we will build the playlist as we insert the nested playlist asset into the master playlist. So let's grab another nested playlist control asset, and we're going to drag it over to the playlist now. Now we've added a brand new nested playlist here. And now what we can do is click on the properties once again. And this time we're going to go to the nested playlist tab. And this time we're going to call this Nested Playlist Joe Test 2. And now this time we're not going to select an existing playlist. We're going to use a new playlist. So we're going to leave all the rest of the settings as they are. We're going to press OK. And we're going to hit our save button, because in order to actually generate that nested playlist, we need to hit that save button so that it creates it. You'll notice that I can't actually click the plus button here, and that's because there are no assets in here. But what we need to do is add assets in here, but unfortunately you can't edit the nested playlists from within the master playlist. So what we need to do is go to open playlist at the top right here. If we go to recently added, and you'll now see that we have nested playlist Joe Test 2. If I double click on that, you'll see that this is now our nested playlist. And now we can start adding assets to this. So let's grab our red assets here. So we're going to go nested 3, nested 4, hit save, and that's all good. And now what we can do is jump back over to our master playlist, like so. They go into the master, where is it? Master nested demo. And now I should be able to expand my nested here, and you can see now I can. So I've now expanded nested Joe Test 2, and I can see my 2 remaining assets there. Master playlist is what we're seeing here. So this is the playlist that houses all of the playlists. This is a nested playlist, which is a playlist within a playlist. And a normal playlist is, of course, your regular playlist, which just has your content. If we were to add validity or recurrence to the nested playlist, the nested playlist would always take priority. So just bear that in mind if you are making use of multiple assets and you're making use of validity and recurrence and you're doing it at asset level. If you were to apply it at the nested playlist level, that will take priority and it will overwrite the settings and the properties you've put on the other assets. What we're now going to do is just grab some other assets and put them in this playlist as well, just to show off mixing playlists worth of content with regular content in your master playlist. Let's grab that one. We'll put that one in between those two. Let's put that in here as well. I'm going to put that in between 3 and 4. What's going to happen now is that when I publish this to my player, we're going to get every asset's going to play there. The one asset is going to play there. Then we're going to get every asset playing here in order, then this one. And then finally on this asset down the bottom here, we reverse the order. So it's actually going to play asset 2 and then it will play asset 1. Let's publish this to my player behind me. Probably should have done that before I checked the chat, but hey ho. Right, so playlist. And now what we need to publish is our master playlist, bear in mind, because we don't want to publish the individual nested playlists because then we won't get the full effect of having every asset in a row playing together. So we're going to grab the master nested demo, and you'll see in our preview here, if I scan through, it won't let you see the individual assets within the nesteds, but you can see that's a nested asset. That's the other video that we added, the other nested, the other video, and then the final nested playlist there. So which players do we want to publish to? This guy here, press OK, and I'm going to hit publish to players. So let me flick back to the full screen now, because what we can now see is that our content has now downloaded on the screen. So at this stage, we're at asset 2 in our playlist. And after asset 2, you can see this has now skipped to the second asset in the next nested playlist. After that, we move on to asset 4, and there's nothing special about this one. It just goes straight in. And for this final nested playlist here, I set the play order to reverse. And then after this, we're going to go into nested playlist asset 1. And after that, we cycle back to the start of the playlist, and therefore nested playlist asset 1 in our master playlist.